Good morning and welcome to the Rapid City Planning Commission meeting for February 4th, 2021. If any member of the audience wishes to speak to an item on the Planning Commission agenda, there are speaker request forms on the table along the left wall. Please fill out the request with the agenda number of the item you wish to speak to and hand it to the staff seated on the left of the dais. At this time, we would also like to ask that if any member of the audience has a cell phone or other electronic device, that you either turn it off or turn the ringer to silent. If you need to take a call, please step out to the hallway so the meeting is not disrupted. Items 1 through 9 have been placed on the consent calendar today and may be approved as a group. Action will be taken on all consent items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration at this time. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the city council. The city council will make the final decision. Are there any items 1 through 9 that staff would like removed?
Item 4.
4? Are there any items 1 through 9 that any planning commissioner would like removed? And are there any items 1 through 9 that any audience member would like removed for separate consideration? The chair would then entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 9 in accordance with staff's recommendation with the exception of item number 4. Karen made the motion to approve those items. And Kelly seconded that motion. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4.
Morning. Item number 4 is 21RZ001, a rezoning request from General Agriculture District to Light Industrial District. We're pulling this from the consent calendar because we did get a couple of calls with concern. Just wanted to go through those with you. Property is located on the west side of Creek Drive, east of Campbell Street, south of Center Street. It's currently void of any structural development. Currently zoned General Agriculture District, which is a holding zone until development happens, at which point they'll rezone it. We can see along Campbell Street we have commercial, and to the east and north we have an existing light industrial corridor in the city. That's south of East Highway 44. And to the south and west on the other side of Campbell Street, you can see that blue is flood hazard, and that's where the greenway is. This is what we've received were calls concerned with this rezoning and where it's located in terms of floodway. So we presented this map which shows the 100-year floodway in this light hatched blue, and you can see that a small corner actually gets up onto the property. The remainder of the property is located in the 500-year floodway, so that's why this was probably not part of the FEMA purchasing and creation of the greenway tracks, and is currently owned by private property. So it isn't part of the greenway, it's private property. The future land use is light industrial, so the requested rezoning is in compliance with the future land use plan. There is a future collector street shown crossing the property. That's one that our transportation staff has indicated may be removed from the major street plan. Just wanted everyone to be aware of that it could potentially, we could see that being removed, or because it doesn't appear likely that it would be constructed. And then the applicant is proposing to construct mini storage and outdoor storage for RVs and boats on the property. So it won't be residential, it'll be buildings for storage and then outdoor storage areas. There'll be paved access, paved circulation, paved parking. in compliance with the light industrial district. Here we have looking from the existing approach, looking into the property to the west. This is to the north towards the industrial development along Center Street. Looking south, and there, further south, you can see where the creek would be. Looking along Creek Drive to the south and east. There are some residences along Creek Drive on that east side, but they're further down, some of them actually in the floodway. And then directly across from the property to the east. And looking north along Creek Drive towards East Highway 44 or Center Street. So we just wanted to bring this to your attention so that you could see that we did review whether the impacts in the comprehensive plan and the floodway, and with that we are recommending approval of the rezoning request. Are there any questions for staff?
Thanks, Fletcher. I don't have any lights up, but I'll go. Just a couple confirmations. I think the little circle of the 100-year that goes into that property, that will be required to be void of structural development, right?
So the property, because it has 100-year floodplain on it, it will require that a floodplain development permit be obtained. Talking to the applicant before the meeting, it doesn't appear that they're going to be constructing in that area.
Okay.
But they will need a floodplain development permit.
And then I guess same question on the stormwater. They'll have to, even for mini storage, they'll have to make sure that they treat any stormwater, on the property.
And that would be part of a building permit, right, is stormwater quality and quantity with the development. So okay, it'd be an increase in impervious area.
Okay. Any other questions for Fletcher on this one? If not, I'd look for a motion. All right, Karen made the motion to approve item number 4. Vince, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got a question. Can I see that slide again where the one you were drawing on, which was next to where the floodplain was?
It's not.
What's the distance from that area that there are going to be structures?
So this is a rezoning. They don't have a conceptual plan for what they're proposing. What they're basically saying is they're going to start on the tract 1 to the north with construction, and then there's a berm on the property on that southeast end where the 100-year floodplain is, and they don't plan on constructing in that berm area. So we'll see that as we get a building permit where it's located, and if they are within the 100-year floodplain, it has to be, I believe, 1 foot above flood elevation structures that are constructed, but it wouldn't impact the floodway, which is really what our concern is. We do have a lot of areas in the city that are in the 500-year or 100-year.
So the applicant did discuss this with the staff, and this was there a compromise or?
No, this is a rezoning application submitted by the applicant. They've discussed it with us in the past, bringing it in, but not what their particular development was going to be, more than identifying it as storage and outdoor vehicle storage.
Vicki?
So we have adopted floodplain regulations for Rapid City, and property that is in the floodway, and just kind of a little floodplain 101. So within the 100-year floodplain, you have the floodway, and then the balance of the 100-year floodplain is known as the flood fringe. Development can occur in the flood fringe. If all of this property was in the 100-year flood fringe, as many properties are in Rapid City, As long as they get a floodplain development permit and they bring it above that floodplain level and they design with flood design, it works. You know, Hanny worked really hard on Orchard Meadows because of all the floodplain that went through there, and did an amendment to the FEMA maps to take enough area out where Orchard Meadows actually occurred. So in this case, because just a little tiny bit of this property is in the floodplain, the 100-year flood fringe, they have to get a floodplain development for anything they do on that site, regardless of its location. And our engineers will take a good look at it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, so Karen had made the motion, but we still need a second on that, if there is one. Mike Gallagher seconded that motion to approve item number 4. Any further comments, questions on this item? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10.
Good morning, Sarah Hansel, Long Range Planning. I have a short presentation to give an overview of item number 10. Okay, item number 10 is a request by the City of Rapid City to dissolve tax increment district number 69. Just to start with a quick overview of what tax increment financing is. Put simply, it's an economic development tool, and it is a method for funding public improvements in an area by temporarily capturing the increase in tax revenue that results when public investment stimulates private investment. And here's a chart showing how that works. Here on the vertical axis, you have property value, and the horizontal axis represents time. This section of the chart represents the property value of an area prior to an investment. Generally, we would expect the shape of this area to be flatlined, decreasing, or increasing very slowly as a result of blighted conditions or some other challenge to development. So as a result, the developer applies for tax increment financing. If it's approved, the district is created at this point in time. Now, whatever the property value is of this area at the time the district is created is called the base valuation. And the tax revenues that are associated with this property value are continued to be collected and returned to the taxing agencies during the life of the TIF. However, as development occurs, the property values in the district are going to incrementally increase over time, thus increasing the tax revenue. And this incremental increase in tax revenue is collected and put in a special fund to pay back the cost of the public improvements that were approved as part of the TIF plan. Eventually, this accumulation of increased tax revenue is going to be sufficient to pay back the total cost of the TIF loan, or the maximum time period is going to run out, at which case the district must be dissolved. So today for item 10, 13 years has gone by, and the amount of revenue in this TIF fund is sufficient to pay back the final costs, all of the costs for the TID. So we're here to dissolve the TIF. And then moving forward, once the TIF is dissolved, this area here, this represents the amount of property tax that's now collected and returned to the taxing agencies. So a little bit of information about this TIF specifically. This is called the, this TIF was created in July of 2008 and had subsequent revisions in 2009 and 2013. And the purpose of this district was to assist commercial development north of I-90 through the construction of public improvements and to develop a municipal fire station. So this is a map of the public improvements. Here you can see the variety of items that were included in this TIF proposal: a box culvert, grass line channel, widening of East Mall Drive, a traffic signal, sanitary sewer lift station and force main, and a gravity sewer, and the East North Street extension. And lastly, the fire station you see up here. This TIF also did include a phase 2 for the extension of Tisch Boulevard here, but this phase did not occur. Here's an aerial map of the TIF boundary from 2008. You can see it's relatively undeveloped, particularly north of I-90. Now, fast forward 13 years, here we have the public improvements as well as the commercial development that you see. A few site photographs. This is looking west at East Mall Drive, looking up north towards the fire station, looking east along East Mall Drive, and south towards I-90. Here we are north up on Tisch Boulevard, looking at the fire station development, and then further north to the northern portion of the TIF boundary. So the maximum allowable costs for certification within this district were just over $9 million. When this district was created, the base valuation was just under $6 million, and today has a valuation of over $75 million, which helps to explain how it was paid off in 13 years. Just as a quick note, any remaining balance that's in the TID fund will be returned to the taxing entities at these ratios, more or less. You've got the school district, Pennington County, City of Rapid City, and the water district. So with that, we are recommending to approve the resolution to dissolve Tax Increment District Number 69.
Thanks, Sarah. Any questions for her? Vince? Or, no, sorry, Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just a broad question regarding the TIF program. Historically, what's the success rate of an applicant that can pay back that obligation, that loan obligation, within the 20 years? Do you have a high success rate with this overall in the history of this program?
Yeah, I'm not prepared to answer that question with quantitative data, but I will say that just generally many of the TIFs that are approved do pay off within the timeline that they're approved for. There have been a handful of TIFs over the years that the development has never occurred and they have not gone forward, but for the most part, many of the TIFs that are approved do eventually pay off.
Thank you.
Karen?
Hello. I don't know if you know the answer to this question either, but maybe some of the engineers do. Do you know what the status is of continuing that road in Phase 2 that goes from the fire station north?
Yeah. Nope. Yep. No.
Todd will make you come all the way up to say that.
Todd Bekash, Development Group. We have no plans in our 5-year plan as far as funding for that section of road. It is open section line, but it's not city maintained for the most part. We've done some gravel on that a couple years ago, just because people were cutting through. But that's really all we've done, and due to funding, we don't have a plan to construct it.
I'm sorry. So how would you get that road continued north? It was in the project plan, but I don't know who was supposed to come through and do that, because it's not the developers that were going to do that. It was the city? Is that who it was?
Yeah, that's correct. Phase 2 was to be funded by the city, but we never had the upfront funding to pay for that,
Okay.
so the develop did not occur.
So it's one of those long-range plans down the road. Got it. Thank you.
Haven?
That was one of my questions too on Tisch Boulevard. I know there was some issues with that going up to the street on the east-west street on the north side of it. And I assume it would appear when you look at the map that Tisch Boulevard needs to be completed up further north from the fire station at some point, but apparently that's not part of the TIF requirements.
Yeah.
Or was not constructed in accordance with the revenue that came in.
Yeah, that's correct. The funding was earmarked so that if the city was able to come up with funding to construct that street, the TIF would be the mechanism to pay the city back for that investment. However, the upfront funding was never available, so the construction did not occur.
And the statements in here that in accordance with 11-946 state statute, the city is required to officially dissolve this district. Just to explain that, what's the requirement that the city would have to comply with?
Yep, so since this TIF has been fully paid back, the taxing agencies currently are still each year receiving this amount of revenue from the full valuation, and so they're eager to receive the full the full amount of tax revenue that's here. So there's no longer any reason to have the special TIF fund because we've already paid back all of the costs of the improvements. So now we essentially eliminate this special fund. So now it kind of goes back to just sort of a normal taxing situation. Each year the property is assessed and all of the revenue within that area is returned to the taxing agencies. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, thanks.
Eric Heikus?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sarah, that was an excellent presentation, and I think it's good for us to all realize the delta there that point reaches. That's a model TIF district, then I'm speculating, but it seems to be a very successful one to be funded and completed early. I suppose having 4 car dealerships out there didn't hurt that either, so, yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for the presentation.
And just to clarify, this is a representational graph. It's not showing the.
I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's always good to remind all of us that how the tool works, right? So, thank you.
Sarah, I have one question. Who was the applicant on this TIF originally? Was this developer-led or was it city-led?
Developer-led, and then phase 2 for the city was added later. However, as we mentioned before, the funding unfortunately didn't become available.
Gotcha. But the fire station was built.
My understanding of that is during the, actually maybe. So the application was developer-led, but
Okay.
they included, I believe the city participated in that portion of it to build the fire station. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments on item number 10? Look for a motion then, if anyone has one. All right. Rachel made the motion to approve. Mike Goller seconded that motion. Any discussions on the motion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any staff items or discussion items today? Vicki?
Just one. I wanted to provide you with an update that the initial plan development for the apartment project at Johnson Ranch did get appealed by several adjacent property owners, and so that item will be heard at the next city council meeting. And then we'll provide you an update again after that.
All right, thank you. Any planning commission items? All right, I'd look for a motion to adjourn. Mike Gallagher got the hand up. A second? Second. All right, Karen seconded that. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned.